Hey, hey. How are y'all this morning? So I'm actually painting something for fun this morning. And I'm painting early. Oh, I'm just painting early. I'm wondering if, hold on. How can I tell? We're working with one screen today. So if it's backwards, I still haven't figured out how to turn that around. So we're gonna paint a fairy or a gnome door, whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it a fairy door just because I think me and the little girl are gonna make a little fairy garden. I had bought the stuff for it a couple of years ago when she was like a newborn. We never did it. I stumbled across all the little goodies the other day whenever, hold on, I'm just making sure. Okay. Whenever I was cleaning out some junk that I thought I was going to get rid of, and then I stumbled across that, and I was like, oh, I'm going to keep that. Hey, Deidre, what's up? How are you this morning? So we're going to paint a little fairy door, and I'm trying to figure out what color to paint the door itself. I thought about painting it teal, and I think I still am because that's the mock-up, and I kind of want it to look like the mock-up because I want to do a side-by-side of mock-up to real life, but I don't have the mock-up with me, and I'm on the device that has the mock-up, so I'm having to film on my iPad today because I'm doing a time-lapse with my cellular device. So I think we're gonna do it. I think I can visually remember. So if you have trouble seeing it here today, just know I'm doing a time lapse. I'll upload the time lapse today as well. So you'll have an aerial view. Now it'll be sped up, so you'll only have to sit and watch it for maybe 2 minutes instead of an hour. I don't know if this is gonna be enough. We're gonna. Let me see if I have another teal. I don't think I do. I know I do. Hold on. I know I do. Let's go with this one right here. I just moved all my paints over here because I'm organizing them. We're going to go bluegrass green. It's really close to mermaid teal, which is my favorite teal. Mermaid teal is really dark. Bluegrass green is a little brighter and springier, so we're going to go with that. So I'm just taking a 1 inch. It's really a 3/4 brush, and it really is. I tested it the other day to see if it really was 3/4 of an inch because that looks like a really big 3/4, and it is. But I still call it a 1 inch because in my mind it's 1 inch. Following while banging. I'm curious to see how it turns out. I love the idea of a live craft. Well, right now I'm working on a kids paint class that I think I'm going to upload not as a live video. I want to upload it as a stagnant video, or is that what a static video? A pre-recorded video, because with kids you need to be able to pause and let them do a step, and then pause and then let them do a step. So I think someone in my community reached out to me about doing a kids class. I think I'm going to do it as a printable instead of a door hanger, and with it being a printable, I could probably offer it worldwide. But it was specifically for my local community. My city commerce reached out to me and asked me if I had any events going on, and I think they were really aiming for kids. So I said, well, I can throw one together real quick. We have Easter coming up. We have May the 4th coming up, which is May the 4th be with you. And I know we've got a lot of little kids that are Star Wars fans. So, we've got just spring itself that's in full bloom, which has got me all jacked up right here. Hey, Teresa. We all have a stash. Oh, Deidre, you should see my paint stash. It's quite embarrassing. I tell everybody, it was like my first love was nail polish until I discovered acrylic paint. And they are probably equal. And if anybody knows of my nail polish stash, it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. Okay, so all I'm doing right now is I'm just painting the door portion of the door. Because it's a door. It's a door that's going on a door. I think it's a cute little idea. What a blessing to be contacted by. Well, it kind of scared me, to be honest. I honestly think that nobody knows I'm on here, especially in my town. Like, other than people who have parties with me, because I have a lot of repeat customers. I like to call them clients. I have a lot of repeat clients. Now, I do get new clients out of them, but they are technically repeat clients because they've already painted with me once at a party. But to be honest, I really was naive about the fact that they even knew I existed. That anybody in my town knows I exist. Most of my contacts are in the virtual world. It's all you people from like Painters Clubhouse and all my fun places. Okay, we're just going to paint over that vine. I am very confident in the fact that I can repaint that vine later. So all I'm doing is I'm just painting the door. We picked bluegrass green as the base color. I do think I'm going to paint the flowers different because I had picked yellow for the mock-up. I'm a fan of pink or purple when it comes to painting a flower. If I can't paint it teal, which the door is teal, so I'm not going to put teal on teal. I'll probably paint it pink or purple. We might throw a yellow one in there. We might mix it up. So I'm painting early for a couple of reasons. Thursday is if we haven't got it done in homeschool yet, we focus on it all Thursday. And so we're knocking out a lot of homeschool stuff this morning. And we give the whole day for, grace, taking breaks and being able to, although it has not been as horrible as I've heard from some other people. Ours is, now he's in some pretty different classes that I am not equipped for. But I can definitely set a schedule and say, okay, it's time to go read your book. Okay, it's time to log into your math app and do your math stuff. And, if he has any questions, then we sit together and write the email to the teacher. So now the one thing we're not doing, or I'm just not aware of, is a lot of people are doing Zoom classes. And I don't think any of his classes have been set up on Zoom. Or I just have not been aware of it. But he's been trucking along without it. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm actually kind of happy with all the stuff I've seen on TV. Sorry, I'm blind as a bat, and I have a light shining in my eyes, and I have the comments way over there instead of like right here where I'm used to them, because my technology was not playing nice with me today. Boom. Okay. Almost done with the door portion. I am going to throw a little shading in there because I shade all the things. But another reason why I'm painting early is because I'm ready to turn the radio on in the house and just zone out for the rest of the day as far as like cleaning the house while he does his schoolwork and getting some packages packaged up so I can make a post office run tomorrow. I'm actually toying with the idea of asking them to pick up because I just found out that they will come to my house and pick up packages. So if you're needing a blank for any of mine that need to be shipped, if you put in an order today, just send me a message because right now I don't have blanks in my shop. If you just send me a message, I can get it out in the morning. So as long as I get it before midnight tonight, Thursday, April 2nd, which is Autism Awareness Day, if you did not know. As long as you get the order in before midnight tonight, I can get it cut real quick before the postman gets here tomorrow and have it boxed up and ready to go. I need a Lazy Susan. Where did you get yours? Okay, Deidre, well, this one, this is old trusty. This is back from my cake decorating days that didn't last long. I was crazy and thought I was going to make my own wedding cake. So I bought all the things to make my own wedding cake. And then I got really into cake decorating for like that long. And I had all the things, all of them. And I just recently gifted a lot of things to all my cake decorating people around town because I'm never going to make another cake again. If I do, it's just going to be a cake with some icing on it. I can't eat cake, so I have celiac, so I can't have bread. It tears my stomach up. And over at Live, everything was bread, and I ate it all, and I was miserable every night. My poor tummy was not my friend. If you think about lactose intolerance, which I am too, so it's like double whammy. It's kind of like the same discomfort you get with lactose intolerance, except for the older you get, the worse it gets and the faster it comes on. And there's like this extra itchy, like if I eat bread, my entire body is on fire. And there are certain grains that will make me break out in hives. So it's really, they call it celiac disease. It's really not a disease. It's an allergy. Let's be real. I hate it when people label things a disease and it's really just an allergic reaction. That's all that's happening to me is an allergic reaction. It's just starting in my stomach. Oh goodness, that's horrible. It is, right? Think about going to your favorite restaurant and not having the bread that they put on the table. It is torture, but you learn. You mourn the death of it, and then you just move on to your new obsession, which for me, it's tortilla chips. Like, I eat chips and salsa every day because I can't have bread on my sandwich. And I eat, instead of eating a sandwich, I eat my sandwich on a corn tortilla, like a taco. And it's actually really, I get really creative with it. Let's see, just put a note in the mailbox and, oh, well Miss Brenda, I should have asked you. I knew it. She does a lot of shipping. She's my neighbor. She does a lot of shipping. And I see the poor little postwoman getting out of her car every time she parks in front of your house. I was wondering what she was doing. That makes sense. Is the temple available in your shop? As of this morning, it was. It was just added this morning. And I think every Thursday morning, I'm going to add a brand new one. I add them throughout the week, but there's going to be a brand new one every Thursday morning. Not a class, but they meet and talk. Oh, they just meet and talk, like it's a social hour for them. Yeah, my son wouldn't be into that. You know my son. He has his core little group, but even then he's like, he hadn't asked one thing about them. Because he doesn't think about them unless he's in the situation where he would be with them, which would be school. And so all I'm doing is I'm adding a little bit of white. I'm double loading my brush like I always do. And I'm just going to add a little bit of white around the edge of this door, just to give it a little bit of character. Not even dimension. I'm just giving it a little bit of character. I've talked so long that my original teal is dry, so all I'm going to do is kind of give it a nice little layer of that original teal and then double load my brush. So that's all I'm doing. You don't want to shade on completely dry paint. It does not work well. Yeah, so I use Zoom all the time. In fact, I was talking to some coworkers about Zoom because by day I work in a law office and, we're not allowed to meet anymore. And so a lot of legal things happen in meetings. So, there's depositions and all that. And everybody's like, well, we could just download Zoom. Like, Zoom's not very secure. And so on the news yesterday, after I said that, they had this big, huge article about how all these Zoom classes are being invaded by sickos. So I'm kind of glad he hasn't hopped on the Zoom thing with his friends yet, only because it's not, and it's happening every day in the most random places where these sickos are literally just posting nude pictures of themselves or nude pictures of just random things they found on the internet. And these things where kids are congregating for classes. And it makes me so mad because we already have to deal with the mess that's going on right now. And we have found ways to cope with it. These sickos are just taking that coping mechanism away from us. And it makes me so mad. Oh, you're welcome, Karen. Those are really good. What's really good? Deidre, what's really good? I missed that part. The Zoom? Yeah, Zoom's really good. I like Zoom. Like I said, I am a firm believer in Zoom, but I don't necessarily want my kid on it. I'm really funny about my kids in general having any access to the outside world when it comes to a device. If it requires a device, they're not getting access to their gaming systems are not hooked up. And my son has not known the difference. He knows that it's available, but he doesn't care. And he actually likes being able to play without anybody else determining how fast he plays or how well he plays. he can literally, his gaming isn't really like a community. It can be, and in many ways it does, but he'd much rather just sit and create. He has a very creative mind, but he's not the team player type kid. He really likes to sit and dive into a world that he has created all his own. He says, Mommy made over. Everybody keeps asking me, how are you doing with the coronavirus? I was like, girl, I'm doing great. I love my home, and I love being able to just sit at my home and create. And it does bug me not to be able to see my mama as much as I'm used to seeing her, or, you know, see my grandmama, my mama, as much as I see her. And we are a very family-oriented family. I have my dad's side of the family. We're very family-oriented, and I have my mom's side of the family. We're, you know, and so my routine, I have a routine with them. And so my routine is broken. So that does kind of get to me. Like the little family get-togethers. Easter being canceled is really driving me nuts. But I do like the idea of doing an Easter egg hunt in the car. That my neighborhood is doing an Easter egg hunt in the car where families just load their kids up in the car and everybody puts an Easter egg randomly out in their yard, like a big yard sign or in the window. And I like the fact that the kids get to be a part of it because they get to decorate those Easter eggs. Tortilla sandwiches, yes, they're amazing. And I am a taco-aholic. I believe in Taco Tuesday. I'm a firm believer in it. Every Tuesday. I love on a Tuesday when my family's like, what's for dinner? I was like, what day is it? It's Mommy's favorite day of the week. Because it's the one day of the week where I know I can eat everything on the menu and not have to worry about it starts with my scalp. My scalp starts itching like you didn't get all the soap out of your hair. If you're a girl, you know what that feeling feels like. Like you didn't get all the soap and you're like, ugh. And then it starts, the rest of my skin is just on fire. It's awful. How old is your son? He's 12. 12, going on 5 sometimes. He's very mature for his age, but he has definitely got that, you know how every little boy gets gross at a certain age and it's about 12 or 13 where like the fart jokes are just cool now, or like everything is a joke. You could literally talk about a funeral and he is going to make an inappropriate joke, not realizing he's just going to joke. He's going to make like a da-da-da out of it. And I'm like, being serious, dude. Read the room. Read the room. And that has been our quote I'm just creating some texture in the door because in the mock-up there's a little bit of a slat. I don't think I'm going to do the slat. I might. I don't know. But I am just creating a little bit of texture, kind of a dry brushing, but not quite with this white. I'm just kind of blending a little bit of white, but not completely blending it in into this green. And I'm just making sure I keep it in one direction. Oh, I need a little bit more of that bluegrass. Okay. And since I am starting with the layer that's furthest in the background, which is the door itself, because everything is decorated around the door, right? So the layer in the back is the most furthest back layer. Goodness, yes, mine does it all the time. Me and my son are like this. Like if you didn't know we were there, I mean, when he's being in a moment where I have to correct him, the mommy face comes on, the mommy tone comes on, and he knows it's for real right now. But we both have the same sense of humor. We both have, like, when I'm very upset, you can tell because I'm joking. If I'm making a joke, it's because that's my coping mechanism. I need to laugh. And if I'm hurting, you need to make me laugh. Like, that's the only way I can kind of snap out of the mindset of being upset. And there are times where I'm like, but he's reached that age where everything is a joke, and I'm trying to remind him, dude, So, and they're like dad jokes, or the moment has passed. He'll take all day to come up with a one-liner to kind of combat what you just said an hour ago. And so I love being able to say, yeah, time's passed, sorry. It's like I could have made a joke an hour ago, and then all of a sudden an hour later he's coming out of his room, hey mom, da 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 da, and I'm like, huh? He's like, you said. I'm like, an hour ago? Time's passed, dude. You missed your window. So it's like we that's our relationship when it comes to joking. He cannot take a joke from anybody else. Like, he's like, with mama though, he understands. He doesn't get upset with me. He gets very sensitive if you start joking with him though. He's one that can dish it but can't take it sometimes, especially if he doesn't know where you're coming from with it. So yesterday was April Fool's. Did anybody play an April Fool's joke on your kid? Because I did. And it was like, it wasn't planned. It wasn't like, it was just a spur of the moment, and I got him good. I got him so good. I was so proud of myself, but it wasn't evil. I can't be. Like, me trying to come up with an evil, devious plan, it's just not going to work out for me. I have a tell, and you're going to know it's coming. Like, it's bad. It's like my lying face. I can't lie. Like, my face. I'm one of those, you can read my emotions all over me. And so whenever I'm lying, like, you can tell. Just like when I'm upset, you can tell. So I still drink no matter how much it hurts. But I only tell it if you ask my opinion. I keep my opinion to myself. Hold on. I have 2 cups of water. One's very dirty and one's fresh. And so if my brush that I want is in the very dirty, I'm like cleaning it. I need to clean all my brushes. That's a task for today. Another reason why I cannot wait to turn all the music on in the house and just zone out while he has his headphones on and does his lessons. Okay, so we painted. Kind of curious how long that took. I don't know. I can't see it. We've painted. Took me 20 minutes to paint that base coat. Me talking, I can paint a door hanger in 30 minutes. When I talk, it's going to take a good hot minute. So my what were we talking about? April Fool's. Okay, so I played the joke on him. Like I said, spur of the moment. I need the gray. Spur of the moment. No, I need the window color. So in this design, I'm going to pick it up and show you. We've got the door painted. In the design is the window in the door. Well, there's a frame around the window. There's a frame around the door. The window sits behind that frame. So I'm going to paint that window next. And I'm going to use blue cotton. And I'm going to streak some white in it too, just to give it kind of a glare look. But I'm going to paint it in blue cotton. Doesn't take much. I'm notorious for pouring way more paint than I need. I know a lot of people in my painting communities are like, how do you stop people from pouring way too much at a paint party? I don't, because I'm guilty of it. In fact, I probably condition them to pour way too much paint. I give them an example, and then you don't know how much paint I throw away at a paint party. There are paint plates full of paint. It does not bother me. Now, obviously, if you dump out a whole entire container for like this window size portion, I'm going to be like, baby, no ma'am. But other than that, it doesn't bother me. You're there to have fun. Have all the fun that you could possibly muster up in that short amount of time. Okay, so we got the window painted. We're going to add a little bit of white. Let me see if I can find a good white. Now, when I do shading with white, I don't use a glossy white. Glossy whites tend to have good coverage, but they don't shade very well. They're really thick. And so I'm just adding in the arch and probably along the straight edge of it. I'm not adding a bunch. I'm just kind of not completely blending it in. I want to see a few streaks of white, but I don't want a stark, like a harsh line. But okay, so the April Fool's joke that I played on it. Okay, so on my phone picks up all the streaming if you're casting it. And with Androids, casting is screen sharing, like you using your device to hop it up to the TV. Well, in the kids' bedrooms, they don't have cable. They have screen sharing. Try saying that 3 times. They have screen sharing. And the screen sharing pops up on my device. I have it set up to where I can see what all of them are watching, which the little one doesn't know how to do it. I have to set it up for her, so obviously I know what she's going to be watching for now. But for him, he's at an age where I can monitor it, and I try to give him opportunities to let me trust him. So I let him pick, and if I'm, I check periodically throughout the, when I know he's watching TV. I even do it with when he has YouTube privileges. It's very limited when he gets to watch YouTube, but I check everything he watched. I have it set up to where I can see what he watched, and so I go through, and if there's something, which there's been like twice in his entire life where I'm like, dude, you watched more than 30 seconds of that. If you couldn't read that title to know that there was something wrong with that, 30 seconds could have been enough for you to be like, back out. You watched way more than 30 seconds of it. And then he loses YouTube privileges until he gains them back. And like I said, twice his entire life. But I saw that he was watching Netflix on his TV. He casted it up to his TV. And he, so I'm grabbing the gray. I'm just going to do the borders around the door and the borders around the window and the doorknob. The key plate of the doorknob, not the actual doorknob itself. But I noticed he was watching the Netflix on his TV, and I got the genius idea, because I can also control whatever he's watching. So if there's something he's watching and I need to get his attention and his TV's too loud, I can pause his TV and yell his name because he can't hear me with the TV on. So this is how I know. But he has forgotten that I can do that because I haven't had to do it in a long time. So I noticed he was screen sharing something up to his TV, and so I'm sliding the volume all the way back down. And then I noticed I can watch him slide it back up. Slide it all the way back down. So we did that for a good solid minute. And then finally I hear the ugh coming from his room. And I was like, yes. But he never came out. Usually and so I started pausing it too. If Wi-Fi shuts off, the first thing he does is, Mom, Netflix isn't working. Or, Mom, my video game stopped. Because some of them are web-based. So he's, my video game stopped. And I was like, ha 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 ha. Because I turned the Wi-Fi off. But he didn't do that. And so I'm just sitting there going, well, dang, he's trying to troubleshoot this himself. I'm kind of proud. Well, after a while, I just completely paused it so he would be forced to come out of hiding. He goes, Mom, something's wrong with my TV. The volume keeps turning down. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, the volume, it keeps turning down. I was like, I don't know, dude. Go figure it out. So I wanted him to be able, to go. I really thought he'd go back into his room and then come back out after I did it one more time and then see me with my phone. Never did. So I paused it again. That made him come back out. He goes, Mom, my TV, it's messed up. It's jacked up. And I'm like, I started sliding it in front of him. And he's like, Dad, why would you do that? I was like, April Fools. He had no clue. Of course, my son is one that can't take it if you got him first. And so I knew going into this, he was going to get me back. So what did he do? He went back to his room, tail between his legs, because he knew he got. But he wasn't got for long, because I'm catching up on my one episode of Grey's Anatomy that I was behind. And all of a sudden, it switches over to a Yu-Gi-Oh show. And I'm like, of course, I knew exactly who this was going to when it was Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, what? And it just so happened, he timed it perfect. He had no clue how he did this, but he timed it perfect to where it was like one of those shocking moments where you're like, oh, I'm finally going to figure out. And then I'm like, oh, where's my show? And here he comes with this big cheesy grin. I'm like, I know it's April Fool's, but I got you first, and so I won, dude. You don't get to get me back. Which I made that rule up. He goes, yes, I can. I was like, okay, well, you got your one. That's it. I got my one. That's it. He goes, nope. Because my husband wasn't home yet. He's like, he's not home yet. I was like, no, you leave him alone. He don't do April Fools. He was ready. He was ready to get him too. I thought that was funny. So, okay, but that was my one April Fool's. I did not fools my husband. Nope. And that is something you don't know. I learned that a long time ago. You don't mess with him on April Fool's. You just ignore that it is even April Fool's. one day he's going to get me and surprise me because I don't mess with him anymore on it. And I'm going to be like, but you said you didn't like it. Okay, like I said, I'm just painting the frame around the door. I'm not going to shade this. Well, I say that. Yeah, I shade everything. It actually, the shading part doesn't take as long as me actually painting the deadgum piece. I've been so excited to paint this one. In fact, I had a patriotic one that I was going to paint. I had the patriotic flower pot that I was going to paint live. And I'm still going to paint it live. In fact, no, I took it inside because I need to ship it. Someone else needs it. But I'll cut another one. But I was going to paint it. And I was like, I want to paint it. Like, I want to paint it so bad. But I kind of wanted to paint this one too. Me and my mom used to make fairy gardens. And like I said, me and the little girl, we're going to make a fairy garden. We might even make it live. I don't like putting my kids on live. Just because. Now, I don't mind so much because she's little. And so she doesn't have an opinion yet. And she changes so much every day that it really, right now in this time in her life, it doesn't bother me for her to pop on every once in a while. But the older she gets, I'll probably be like I am with my son. And just, let them decide. He would be on a live video every day because he feels like it's like being a YouTuber, and I'm not humoring that. No. So that's one reason he's not on. But I also am very funny about putting my kids out there as far as live video. I don't mind posting a picture every once in a while, but I'm very funny about that. Although some of my favorite pictures of my friends, as far as this community right here, are their kids. Half the time it's not even what they painted. It's usually what their kids painted. Because we, as painters, have a hard time letting go of that control. And I'm like, my daughter painted yesterday because I had to finish a very detailed order. And so she kept saying she wanted to paint. And usually she stands right next to me and paints on whatever cover up I'm covering the table with. But I couldn't take the chance of her little brush, which does venturing over here. So I had her on her little table with a scrap piece of paper and some paint. And that is the first time in her life. Hey, Miss Helen. First time in her life, I had no care of what she painted, how she painted it. I didn't. And that's only because I was so preoccupied with my own painting. But usually if she and I are sitting next to each other, I'm like, do it like this. Just give mommy the brush. It's very hard for me to let go of that control. Usually with the rest of the stuff that my kids do, I love watching their little brains create. But when they want to paint with me, I'm like, do you really want to paint with me? Is this a good life choice for you? I was like, I can give you the paint and let you go, paint it. But do you really want to paint with me? I know you want to paint, but do you really want to paint with me? Because this could not work out well for any of us. So the next step is going to be, we're going to let our door dry. We're going to let our frame dry. Wait, we have one more little spot. And that's the doorknob plate. I knew there was a little bit of gray missing here. Just need a little bit. I'm trying to get better about not using way too much paint. Especially when I'm just painting one piece. Okay, so to get a good oval, it's an oval, not a circle. I'm using the edge of the brush, not trying to create it. I'm pushing the brush down, pushing it down, like I'm using a lot of pressure, and I'm using the brush itself. I'm not trying to use the tips of the brush. I'm actually using the whole brush. Push it down and rotate it like a spoon, like you would gathering up your spaghetti with your fork. You take a fork and you twirl it. Well, I don't eat spaghetti. That's a long story. But I really can't eat spaghetti now because the noodles, I can't have noodles. Because again, it makes me itch. But yeah, that's the spaghetti technique. You just twirl your little fork around the plate to gather them spaghetti noodles. My mama. Okay, so anybody who knows me knows that knows me personally, knows that my father passed away when I was very little. I was 3 years old. And so my mom had 3 kids, and the fourth one, she was pregnant with the fourth one. And so she didn't cook very much before he passed away. She had a couple of staples. She was a younger mom, and like I said, we are a tight-knit family, so a lot of our dinners were spent with family. So the grandmothers were cooking a lot. So if we spent dinner with my dad's family, my mama was cooking. There were nights that we spent with her family, and my granny was cooking, or my papa was cooking, or my papa on my daddy's side was grilling. So there were, we ate sandwiches and spaghetti and macaroni and hot dogs. It was just random stuff you could whip up real quick for a whole house of kids. And hey Victoria, good morning. I'm a morning person. I get up really early and I paint. So this is more my speed. Nighttime painting, I'm dying inside, y'all, because I want to go to bed, but I do it for y'all. So I figured we'd try it an earlier morning. So she made spaghetti a lot. And so spaghetti, after a while, I couldn't do it anymore. There was one day she brought me a plate of spaghetti. They were getting some brown for I'm going to say dirt. We're not going to do grass. I'm going to do dirt. We might have some grass pop up, but it's not in the mock-up. So we're just going to this is not my favorite brown, but we're going to play with it. This is the brown I grabbed. It might play nice today. So she made spaghetti one day. I was about 4 years old. I can remember this only because it was after my dad had passed away. Because that's like a defining factor. Like, I just knew it was after he passed away, but I was still little enough that she was kind of not feeding me, but making me eat. If your kid doesn't eat, you're sitting there force feeding them because they're not eating. Well, I kind of remember being probably about 4 when this happened. I wasn't eating. I refused to eat the spaghetti. She's a young widow with 3.5 kids, probably still pregnant with my baby brother at the time. And she just, moms just have those moments where they snap a little bit. And so she was like, you're going to eat this, or you're not, or you're going to bed hungry, or you're not getting up from it's probably one of those, you're not getting up from this table unless you eat your dinner. And then so she's taking the fork and she said she'll never force feed a kid ever again. She said, because I gave it right back to her, and that was the last. She said that I never ate spaghetti after that day. It was one of those, when you're sick and the last thing you ate, you just can't stomach the thought of it for a while just because it was the last thing you ate. It's not because it made you sick. I just never ate spaghetti ever again. Even the smell of it cooking turns my stomach. I will turn green. Looks like your internet is behaving better. It's because it's early in the day. And right now my son is doing his reading class, which requires no internet whatsoever. So it's probably acting a lot better because my husband's not home watching Netflix. My son's not watching Netflix. And little girl's not watching her night Disney Plus. That's probably why. Because normally at night, that's what's going on. Everybody's chilling and getting ready for bed. And the internet is being stressed past its seam allowance. Like, it will not... It's got nothing else to give me as far as bandwidth. So I figured we'll try early. Plus, I'm an early person anyways. It's just easier for me to get into it. By the time we're all getting ready for bed, I don't want to paint. I do. I want to paint, but my body just doesn't have it. I just don't have the gumption to get up and go do it. The motivation is totally gone. I'm going to pour a little bit of this. It's antique white, but it's just an off-white. I'm not going to shade it with white because it's a brown. I'm going to shade it with something that's kind of in the same family. And I'm just creating some dimension. Again, not it's dirt. It's like the dirt in front of a tree, because usually fairy doors are on trees, or a gnome door. If you decide to call this a gnome door, I called it a fairy door. It's just creating a little bit of texture. So I was watching Tamara Bennett the other day painting, and she called hers Corona Crafting. I was catching up on some old videos that I had missed this week, and she had said something about Corona Crafting. I was like, well, dadgum, that's what I've been doing this whole time. Didn't even realize it. That is such a cute little term. So I'm Corona Crafting today. Okay, so now I've got that. I'm going to take the original color and just shade that back in just a little bit. Like I said, it's just layers on top of layers of these colors. I will probably throw, I don't know, let's play with this gray. Sometimes gray and brown work really good. They're all neutrals and all found in nature at the same time. So let's try. I don't know, I don't hate it. The only problem is a lot of the good shading, like the good spots, like you get good spots and then you get some that's like, that's all right. But like the good spots, they're always gonna be covered up by something else. I'm like, dang it, why couldn't you be over here where it's gonna be seen? Let's try to recreate that. There we go. There's a good spot. I did get it with flowers too. The good spots of the flowers where the good shading is, it's gonna be where another flower is gonna be placed. It's just gonna be covered up and it makes me very upset. Hey Scott, I can see you. Scott's my very loyal man viewer. He loves watching me paint. I think he loves watching me paint so he can go back and report to my husband, hey, I saw your wife on live. Okay, so I think the next thing we're gonna paint is, now that our door is dry, we had one more spot of gray. But I think we're gonna do the lighter gray first. There's 2 spots of gray. We're gonna do the lighter gray. And that's where the hinges of the door, hold on, I gotta look at it first. I see where it's placed. That's the only thing that's kind of questionable to me. I can kind of see this one down here. I might have to break out my template. That's gonna bug me if the hinges are in the wrong spot. Usually I don't care. These hinges are gonna be alright, let's see where we're gonna put them. Oh. Okay, so it's right there at that dip. And it's right there behind the rock. Okay, so this is the template. It's pretty good size. Like I said, y'all, okay, so here's the template. Y'all see the slats. The slats were really cute. We still might add those. I don't know. Didn't have my heart set on it. I kind of like the way the door is. We might still add it. Okay, so we're going to add. My hair is falling out. It's like everywhere. Let's see. I say I could see it. Okay, we're just going to throw one in there. All they are just long ovals, long skinny ovals that are going into the door itself. Oh, I see where it's supposed to be. I didn't paint it. So, oh well. Oh well, don't care anymore. Oh, that's blue. Okay. We said it was, the only thing about these hinges is I want them to be somewhat the same size. They don't have to be perfect because this will be the detail that nobody zones in on. So I don't really care if it's perfect or not. I just want them to be I don't want them to be wonky looking. Okay. So the one thing about those slats is if I was going to do them, I probably should have done them before the hinges, but we can still work around that. We'll definitely do them before we throw flowers in there. Let's see. I'm going to add a little bit of black. I know I brought it, yep, right there, to this gray. And when I say a little bit, like I'm not even going to pour it. I'm going to just clean brush in the cap of the black. Literally just, that's it. Not even going to add a lot. Black takes over. Black paint is so strong. And all I want is just a shade or two darker of the gray. But I want it to be in the same gray family because grays are funny. Let's see. I'm just going to make a whoop, whoop, whoop. Just kind of a little decorative part of the hinge. So all I'm doing is I'm making little ovals. 2 short ones on the side, 1 tall one in the middle. You know, like here and here. And then, again, we're doing a time lapse, so you'll be able to see that in the time lapse. But it just adds a little bit of detail to that door hinge. That hinge is, like I said, not going to be a detail no anybody zones in on, but it could very well. Hold on. Dry that. It's just a little one. It's easy. It was back quick, so it didn't hurt me to throw that in there. That bluegrass green was not quite dry. and it was meddling into my gray. I don't want my hinge to be green, so we had to dry it real quick. Still gonna have a little bit of green. We'll work with it. Oh well. Okay, so again, we're picking up that homemade dark gray. We're gonna go literally 2 short ovals side by side, just enough to see the peak of the oval. And then in between those 2 ovals, make a taller one. And what I call the window of the oval. And you'll see that again in the time lapse. Just catching up on comments. It's really far away, so I'm having to squint. So if I look like I'm reading a really small menu, it's because that's what it feels like. I feel like I'm at a drive-thru and I'm like, I want the number 2. Nope, 7. Can you tell I miss ordering food and picking it up? And I kind of do. Although I love cooking, so this is bringing back my joy of cooking. I love cooking dinner and creating different recipes, like taking a recipe and zhuzhing it up with something else. Okay, so now our next is we're going to take that homemade gray paint, which we're probably going to have to make. This is a painting no-no. If you mix a color, mix more than enough, because you'll never mix the exact same shade. I'm so funny. Is it, oh, it's really small. Is it Janie? Janie? Is it Janie? Please tell me I got it right. My mama has a friend named Janie. So that's what popped in my head when I saw it. Janie or Jannie? Jannie 1, Janie 2. Tell me which one it is. Janie. I bet you it's 2. Is it Janie? Let's see. Now we're just painting. I strive to be funny. I didn't used to. Like, I don't try. I strive. And it's not because I want to be funny. I have just embraced the fact. All my life, people are like, you're so funny. I'm like, I was being serious. So I've just learned to embrace the fact that I'm a naturally humorous person. Like my mannerisms. Again, just dipping in. I just need a little bit. I don't want to waste it. And I'm going to shade this just a little bit of a glare in there. I don't want to take away the darkness of the doorknob because I want there to be dimension between the doorknob plate where you have the keyhole and all that underneath the doorknob or above the doorknob. But I want the doorknob to have a little dimension too. But I want it to definitely be enough of a difference between the plate and the doorknob. You get what I'm saying. You picking up what I'm putting down? Picking up. So, okay. So we've got the door. We've got the frames to the door and the window. We got the window, the doorknob, the hinges. The dirt rug. I'm got like their porch, their dirt front porch. It's a fairy door or a gnome door, just whatever direction you want to take it. If you're marketing it for a boy, we might want to call it a gnome door. If you're marketing for girls, call it a fairy door. I guess that'll be the only thing that makes a difference. Like if you're doing a boys party, obviously don't like cut the vines out of it and don't do the vines and just do a gnome door and then make like a Captain America shield for it, because eventually this will be interchangeable. Right here, I think a 6-inch is what I determined could fit right here, and you put a piece of Velcro and you can put different, I don't know, just trying to come up with something that was different for an interchangeable that wasn't year round. This is definitely a spring summer interchangeable. Like it's, you can have your favorite sports team or something like that. It just seemed fun for kids, or fun. It's a fun paint. Like it's definitely a recreational paint. I think I'm gonna put it in our garden. I don't think it's going on a door at all. I think we're going to make a little fairy section. Like I said, me and my mama used to make fairy gardens out of big planters and just stuff that we found at junk shops. Not antique shops. There's a difference. Junk shops. And we would make little fairy gardens out of it. It was fun. I mean, I was a lot older when we did it, so we had a lot of creative background behind us to be able to look at a piece of old kitchenware and turn it into a fairy garden fountain for the little fairy. It was just so much fun. And then be able to go to the like Lowe's or Home Depot or the nurseries and pick out the plants that will be perfect for a fairy garden, and then just watching the garden grow. It's so cute. So I think we're going to do that with my little girl. We have, like I said, we have the little fairy hut. We have the little fairy like yard ornaments that I bought on clearance at, I think, Big Lots or Kmart before Kmart. This is how long I've had it. I've had it since Kmart. I think I bought it when I was pregnant with her. If not, she was a newborn. In hopes to be able to make a fairy garden with her one day. I think this year we're going to do it because we've got nothing else to do and all the time in the world. Okay, so our next little venture will be the rock. First, I'm going to paint this where the hinge should have been. I'm just going to throw a little bit of bluegrass green because now that after I painted the hinge, I see where I left a spot for the hinge. So we're just going to fix that. But yeah, I strive to be funny, not for the sake of being funny, just because I embrace that's who I am now. Like, that's who I've always been. I used to try to hide the fact and just not speak in public because I was like, I don't want to be funny. I'm being serious. And then I just realized I'm just funny. Funny looking. Funny talking. That's okay. We all have a quirk to us, and that's just my quirk. And I'm okay with being quirky. I love being quirky. You'll never forget me because you're going to be like, that chick was different. And in the South, that has a meaning behind it all itself. Whenever they're like, well, what's she like? Well, she's different. It can be a compliment and it can be an insult. Well, she's different. So we're going to paint the rock and we're going to paint these little loops right here. These loops are the sky or whatever, like the tree that the fairy door is sitting on. I'm going to paint it as, I think, a tree. I think we're going to paint it as a tree. I'm just going to make that executive decision. I still have some brown. So we're just going to paint this brown. And I'm going to throw a little bit, not a lot, of texture in that just to make it look like bark. Nothing fancy. Just a little bit. I hate not being able to have music. Y'all, I cannot wait to go in the house and turn my music on. I already have my playlist up here, ready to go. Let's see, we're going to add a little bit of this gray in there. Just kind of streaking it through. Not completely blending it in, but not completely leaving it as chunky streaks. I'm just kind of letting the brush do its own thing. I'm trying not to work it too much because I want it to look like bark. The gray is doing really good. I like the gray. Here we go. All right, I'll leave that alone, let that dry, and then we'll do the vines over that. I don't do any of the black accent lines till the very end, even after lettering, but this one has no lettering on it. What is your go-to music for painting or just in general? I am a 90s girl, and so, but I love country. So really, 90s pop, 90s country is my jam. If it's modern day, I can still see my pencil line, so I'm just touching up this pencil line right here. Modern day music, this is modern day, I love Elvis. Elvis is my favorite. The template on your Shopify are awesome. I can't wait to order. Oh, thank you. I take pride in templates. I do. I take pride in every template that I do, whether you see it or not. I have an iPad full of just doodles because when I do my quiet time, instead of, like, I listen to my quiet time, my Bible study, and instead of taking notes, I've always learned to doodle. I used to take notes, but I would never go back and look at my notes. I never did. It was just something I just noticed about myself. I always went back and looked at my doodles during church service and stuff, and the doodles reminded me of what I was hearing when I doodled it, because I usually, that was my inspiration for what I doodled. If the preacher gave an example using bumblebees, I drew a bumblebee, you know, or if the preacher was talking about growing and learning, well, obviously I was drawing vines and flowers and all that, but it would always remind, I would write little snippets and notes, and so that would help me grab the inspiration behind all of the little pieces. But I mean, I have doodles upon doodles upon doodles of just like Bible notes on my iPad, and they end up becoming templates. A lot of them become templates for this, because if they inspired me enough, they'll probably inspire somebody else, and I love being able to share that. I think we're going to do the slats. I think I want to. Hold on, I've got a straight edge over here. Let me grab it. Okay. Alright, we're just going to do some light ones. Everything's pretty much dry enough that I don't feel like I'm going to jack anything up. Okay, I'm just going to take... what color are we going to do? I wonder if that's going to make any difference. Let me add a little bit of dark green to the bluegrass green. That dark green is powerful. And we're going to take, I normally do these with straight, like a flat brush, but I'm not, because this is a very little, I don't have a flat brush small enough in reach. Mine's really small. I'm mixing just a little bit of white, a little bit of the dark green, and the bluegrass green together, and just getting something within the same color family, but not the exact same color of the door, and not the white that I shaded the door with. This may not make any difference at all, but we're gonna attempt it. All I'm doing is I'm making slats on the door. Not complete lines, just kind of hints. Oh yeah, that's gonna look good. Oh, I'm so scared. Let's do it there. Okay. And I'm not gonna make them as skinny as they were in the template. You can definitely go back and make those as skinny as the template. I just doing that on the iPad versus doing it in real life. If it was just me painting, then I'd probably do it, because I'm not on anybody else's time frame right now, but I don't want to waste y'all's time, just me sitting here making slats on a door. So all we're going to do is we're just going to do a few, just enough to say the door has a little bit of texture. Like I said, I probably could whip this one up in 45 minutes had I not been talking, but I'm a talker, so. Oh, I like it. They're all different sizes. It looks like they built the door out of like pallet wood and painted it teal. So we're going to just set that off to the side and let it dry. I like it. I'm glad we did it. Okay. I think it's going to be really pretty whenever it's dry. You know, sometimes you look at a door hanger and you're like, oh, I don't like it. But once it completely dries, you're like, oh, wait, hold on. I prematurely judged that. That looks good. Okay, I finally got to paint the lemon, and the shading for the leaves turned out great. I can't wait to do it live. Hold on, let me see more. It was so fun to paint. I know. Okay, so shading, it gets addicting. Once you get the hang of it, it's addicting. I love shading. And you end up throwing it in places where you're like, I didn't really need to do that, but I wanted to. It's like this rock. This rock right here that we're about to paint, after we paint the brown, because there is a spot of brown right there. Spot of brown right there. That's a tree trunk. Where's my gray? And there's a spot of gray. We're going to make sure we get that. You know, we'll just make the rest of that rock. No biggie. Okay, so the rock is the same gray that we've been using through the base color. Just going to make this whole thing gray. Don't do it right if you don't make the sound effects, especially if you have no music going. Oh, but Deidre, to answer your question, my favorite music is probably 90s country. Is my go-to. To hear that Joe Diffie passed away broke my heart the other day. Like, I was like, and he just came to my town a couple of 4th of July's ago, and he did a concert here, like a free concert here, and it was probably one of the best. Just sit back and enjoy concerts I've probably been to. I hear my dog. I'm just making sure someone else is walking their dog. Okay, I hear the other dog now. No biggie. So, the other day, I was sitting outside with my neighbor. Speaking of the dogs, sitting outside with my neighbor, and someone was walking a dog. And I have a German Shepherd. They had a German Shepherd too. My neighbor doesn't have a German Shepherd, but the people that were walking the dog had a German Shepherd too. And, okay, taking just my black again, getting a little out of the cap. I'm gonna, here we go. I double loaded it, black and gray. Gonna put the black on the outside of the rock and shade the outside of the rock, bringing some ridges in. Just working that black into the gray to where it's not so stark. Just bringing some texture into that rock. So my neighbor had their dog on a leash, and the walker, the person who was walking their dog, obviously had their dog on a leash, and the dogs just decided, hey, let's talk, but not in a very nice way. And it ended up pulling my neighbor out of her chair. She ended up getting this awful cut on her hand. Oh my gosh, it was awful. And then, of course, we live in a cul-de-sac, so eventually that dog has to come back around, right? Well, we weren't thinking about it, and if I was the one walking my dog, if I knew there was a dog that wasn't too keen on my dog the first time around, I definitely wouldn't try to make them as close as possible together. Well, they ended up walking, like, just shy of the driveway away instead of going back to the other side of the street. And oh man, it was over again. I was like, man, am I glad my dog wasn't out in the front yard? Because my dog's a lot bigger than their German Shepherd. And my neighbor's dog is half the size of my German Shepherd. So I'm like, I can only imagine what Romo would do. I mean, obviously, these dogs were not at fault here. Nobody was really at fault, but dang, just to watch that go down, it was, and to see her hand afterwards, that was awful. Come to find out, that wasn't even their dog. I was like, they walk dogs in the neighborhood. I didn't even know we had that here. I knew they had that in big cities. I didn't know they had that in my little neighborhood. We have dog walkers? I could pay someone to walk my dog? That's a mental decision I have to make. I have a big dog. He is not fun to walk. He gets walked, but not often because we go into the backyard and play a lot. That's his exercise because he is not easy nor fun to walk. When he was little, it was a lot different. I'm almost done with this rock. There's like this one spot where I'm like, I want there to be this like certain like little ledge to it. Nobody is going to care about this ledge but me. But in my mind, I was like, I want it. So I'm trying to get it. There we go. Got it. I knew if I worked hard enough, I'd get it. I just love it. That was my favorite part of this whole design was that rock. I don't know why. I'm going to paint the shipwreck one live too. And it has the rock in it too. That inspired the rock in this one. I had so much fun drawing that rock. I was like, I can't wait to paint it. Okay, so I think we have pretty much everything but the vine and the flowers and the welcome mat on the doorstep. So we're going to paint the welcome mat. I do not remember what color. I'm just going to pick a color. We're probably going to go with navy blue. We'll do white letters on it. I did not make the stencil before I came live for it. I'll add the stencil later. So if y'all didn't know, I added stencils to my shop too. And all you do is, it's an SVG file, and you cut it out with your die cut, your Cricut, your Silhouette. I use my laser. My laser accepts SVGs for cut files. You don't have to have the DX whatever file. I can get you that if you need it, but SVGs pretty much for all the die cutting softwares. I believe with Silhouette you have to have the business edition, but I can get you the other version or the JPEG to go along with it to upload it into your basic edition. So, but the stencil for this will be uploaded as well, and it's just the skinny welcome that goes on the doormat. Okay, so I'm going to visualize the center, and all I'm doing is I'm painting a rectangle. Let's see. Pretty wide rectangle. Just gonna, it's easier to get a straight line coming towards you than it is to get it horizontally. So anytime I have to do a straight line, I turn my piece. Oh no. My pinky drug. It pulled paint. It's okay, we can fix it. We can fix it. Off builder. We can fix it. Let's see. Alright, and then we're gonna make sure I don't have any more paint on my pinky. There we go, got our rectangle. Alright, so we're gonna go whoop. Sorry, I'm getting out of frame. And again, quick little shading once we get this base coat on. We're gonna base coat it. I should have used a bigger brush, but this is the one that was in my hand, so we're just gonna roll with it because we're almost done with that part. Okay, so we still have wet base coat, right? Okay. Clean lines. I love clean lines. Okay. And I'm going to pick, I think, gray. I just pick colors to shade with. I don't always go with black and white. I just pick random colors. And I'm just adding a little bit of just dimension as far as, you know, doormats have texture to them. Most of them are made out of coconut husks. So there's like a grainy, the brown kind of fibrous doormats that you can really get a good cleaning of your boots on, that you stomp and it gets everything off. Those are made out of coconut husk. Most of them are. The good ones are. I didn't know that until I started painting doormats. And I'm like, whoa, wait, what? Because the joke around here is I use coconut oil for everything. And so it's like a funny ha-ha. It was like, hey, Erica, what? I have like this whatever. What natural thing? Because I'm not a huge natural mama, but I do have some natural remedies that I swear by. What natural thing can I use to get rid of it? Like my head, whenever I have a gluten reaction, a bread reaction, if my head starts itching, if I can soak my hair in coconut oil, oh, it's so relieving. That's only because coconut oil is an anti-inflammatory for like bug bites and inflammation as far as like itching and stuff like that. So coconut oil is usually, I'm like, oh, good, coconut oil can knock that out real quick. So it's a joke. It's a big running joke around here. All right, so we've got the doormat. Like I said, we're going to do the white lettering on it later. I'll probably do a time lapse of that, and you'll get to see that part of it. We pretty much have everything but the vines. Let's throw some vines on there. So I need a liner brush. Not a huge one. Yeah, we're gonna do a pretty good size one. Okay, and we're gonna do medium Hauser green. Okay. Good. See, I usually paint in a paper plate or a real egg carton that come. We haven't bought eggs in a while, so I'm kind of not out of egg cartons, but I'm kind of hoarding them for like when I do an assembly line day. Whenever I have to paint a lot of one thing, those are a lot deeper wells. This is very thin well, so I'm not inclined to use a lot of paint. All right, so I'm gonna. What's my best angle at getting this? Let's see. think I did it. I didn't even look at the example. I'm just throwing some loops-de-loos. I'm not trying to follow. I'm just following the edge of the board. I'm not trying to get it right up on the edge, even though the design has the vine as the edge. You do not have to make it so matchy-matchy. If you just use those kind of humps in the design as where your brush should flow, as long as your base coats are pretty dry, you can test and baby wipe it off as much as your little heart desires until you get it the way you want. Just remember, every time you use a baby wipe on dry paint, you're re-wetting the paint. So you might want to blow dry and then try it again. Let's see. I think we're pretty good on that vine. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to leave it alone. We're going to move on to flowers. Not everything needs to be shaded. I'm going to throw a highlight in there before I do my flowers though. Just because I have a feeling I'm going to get very busy with flowers. I'm using the antique white and not actual white. I am working it in. And I'm not doing it on any of the straight parts of it. I'm doing it on where there's some really good deep curves. Kind of like with your lettering where you do the downstrokes. When I highlight a vine, I like to do it on a nice deep curve. Okay, so we've got door. I go through a checklist, so you're just seeing me do my process. Door frames. I'm building up. I'm building the layers of it up. So I've got the door, which is the bottom layer. I've got the doorknob, the frames, the hinges, the rock that sits in front of the door, the vine that sits behind the rock. Now, flowers, yeah, pretty much. That's it, just flowers. And then we'll do outline. I'll probably do the outline in a time lapse just because we've been on, how long have we been on? Probably need to go check. Boom. Hour and 11 minutes. Yeah, I probably need to go check on him and see how he's doing with his reading. Let's paint some flowers and then we'll call it a day. So this template is in the shop. Shop is linked on my page in the shop now button at the top of my page. You can get it. It's $5. It comes as a printable template. And what I recommend, if you have a hard time, placing things and you really don't like carbon paper, I don't mind carbon paper. So I don't mind tracing the carbon paper onto my wood. If you have a hard time seeing your lines through each one of your layers of paint, what I recommend is printing off two, having one as the actual shape to trace on your wood, having the second one to be able to cut out the window so you can place your window piece on top of your door hanger to trace the window for when you're ready to paint the window. The doorknob, so you can trace. That way you don't have to mess with the carbon paper on top of your already painted piece, because sometimes that carbon paper can transfer the carbon to your door hanger and you can get it off, but there are certain times you can't get it. If you painted it yellow, it's really hard to get that carbon off of yellow, get it off of white, unless it's a shiny white, like a glossy white. Again, the welcome. Cut the welcome out and have just a small little piece. That way you don't have a whole template sitting over so you can use your carbon paper to trace. That's what I recommend. I used to, before I did stencils, I used to cut out, print two and have one in my little envelope. I'd always put the preview as what's on the outside of the envelope. I put the template in the envelope, and then I would put the little pieces that I had Frankensteined out of the second one I printed, and I put those pieces in there as well. So it was like a little kit for whenever I had to do this door hanger or any door hanger that had little pieces that I wasn't too confident about painting freehand. Okay, so we're going to paint these flowers, and like I said, we're going to call it a day. We're going to use just a flat tip brush. Pink or purple? Pink or purple? The original design has yellow. Not feeling yellow today. We could do yellow too. Pink, purple, or yellow. So first one that comments will win that bet. Let's see. Let me find my yellow in case yellow wins. Pink, purple, or yellow? There's a delay, so I'm going to make sure I get somebody. Just anybody help. What size are your envelopes? These, Deetra, are, I think, 5x7. Purple one. Thank you, Miss Helen. Purple one. So we're going to go purple rain, purple rain. Sorry, Catherine, you lost. We could throw some yellow highlights on the purple. We'll do that. So Purple Rain. Hold on, it don't take much. This one's almost... Did you pink or yellow? I am doing purple with probably a little bit of yellow highlight on it. Because, you know, LSU. Go Tigers. So we're just going to pick random spots. And my rule of thumb on something like this where the flowers really aren't a specific spot. Like in the template, they're obviously in a certain spot. But they're not married to those spots. They don't make the design because they're in those spots. I'm just going to randomly place some flowers wherever I feel like. They're not my favorite spots of the templates. Like if I feel like I didn't paint a certain part of the door well, that's where that flower's going. Okay. And I like to paint florals in odd. So we're probably going to do about 3. Oh, that'll be pretty. The yellow highlights will be really pretty. Okay, so the third flower is going to be right here where the vine meets. Okay. Okay. So we're going to do a quick blow dry. That's our base coat of the flowers. I want to have a good saturated base coat. I don't want any of the door of the vine shining through. So I want to blow dry that base coat. And I'm going to repaint them the same color, like a second coat of that base color. But I'm going to let that second coat stay wet. I don't want it to dry. I want it to at least be tacky for when we go in to do our yellow highlight. I want that highlight to shade in. I don't want it to be line. I want it to be nice, pretty little streaks. If you've ever seen like a variegated rose, they're my favorite. I like solid color roses, but if you can get, most of my roses have, like I have coral rose bushes, but they have yellow that pop up. They kind of spine in and mix in. And they end up being really pretty. So I can't find my favorite. I bet you it's in this basket over here. Yep, there it is. Okay. So just gonna do some yellow. We're gonna double load our brush. Very little yellow. Y'all see how much yellow? Not a lot, because these are little flowers. If this was a bigger flower, I would probably half and half double load that. These are really little flowers. Yellow's going on the edge. I'm just going to do little half circles wherever I want there to be the illusion of light hitting the petal. I'm not trying to make these look like roses or any particular type of flower. I just want them to be muddled together, and I want the paint to do all the work of the petals for me. I don't want to have to try to attempt to paint a perfect flower, because let's be real, that is not my talent. That is the paint's talent. I just borrow that talent from the paint. And if you know the way I paint a flower, you know I don't like to go petal, 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 petal. I like to go this petal, and then I'll go down to this petal, like 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Then I'll come over to like 11, and then I'll come over to 3. Like that's how I want them to randomly sit on top of each other. I don't want them to be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Because then it doesn't look like a flower anymore. It looks like a pattern. If that makes any sense. So I'm just randomly throwing petals in there, and until I reload my brush when I stop seeing the yellow and I see more of the purple. When I see more purple shading in, I reload my brush, because I want there to be times where I see a lot of yellow. There are certain petals I want to be more purple. That's what creates the dimension with this technique. All right, and I'm done with that. I'm going to pick it up and show you. See? I love those flowers. Those are my favorite flowers. Throw those flowers on everything. All right, so we pretty much have everything but accents and stenciling the welcome on the door. We're pretty much done. So I'm going to let this dry completely down. I'll do a time lapse of accents and stenciling, and I'll upload that later today when I upload this. I'll go ahead and link the template to this in the Facebook Live description or in the in the comments below. And that way, if you're interested in this template, you can download it from the shop and paint along with me. If you end up painting one, tag me in it. I want to see how you painted. Did you pick a teal door? Did you do purple flowers? Did you put welcome, or did you put go away? Because don't nobody want anybody at their door right now. All right, so I'm going to go check on the kid and probably get some lunch ready. See y'all later.